Right, let's get more details now on the financial problems at Barcelona. We can go live to Semra Hunter, who's in Spain this afternoon. Semra, good to talk to you. The club have released more figures about the extent of the losses. What exactly did they tell us?
They've really just kind of hammered home and reiterated some of the things that they'd been telling us over the last few months since this new board took over, which is that the previous board completely mismanaged all of the funds and the money that they had at the club. In other words, he reconfirmed that they had about 1.3 billion euros in debt, and he explained a little bit more in depth as to the reasons why it got to that point. There's a lot of different reasons. And so for the interest of time, I'll just go to the crux of the matter and talk about the most important ones, which is that they overspent on contracts, they overspent on salary raises, they overspent on club management and on signings, and they made signings when they didn't even have money. He used Antoine Griezmann as an example, that they found out the day that they were making this signing, they actually didn't any money to do it. On top of that, they were incurring debts all over the place and paying for things via credit. So they would go to different banks, they would ask for about 100 million euros on a loan, and they would also do this without passing it through the General Assembly, which is where the members of the club have to vote on things. So they didn't actually pass through that step either. So there were a lot of things that were happening. According to the CEO of Barcelona today, he said that it was all improvised. There was no financial planning whatsoever. And in fact, had they been a business, they would have been in the red, meaning that they would have had to file for bankruptcy and then they would have dissolved. But because this is Barcelona, as soon as this new board came in, they refinanced the whole project and they're trying to turn things around. They've lowered salaries. They've been cutting costs everywhere they possibly can to try and make things financially stable again. It's going to take some time. Absolutely. It's going to take them a while to sort it out. They're not completely finished yet with the process of this financial analysis, let's say. And so he has said in the next few weeks and months, as they continue to discover more, they will tell us a little bit more about what's going on and how they plan on fixing it.
And Semra, in terms of Ronald Koeman, I mean, lots of speculation about his future. Will these losses have any impact on the situation there? Well,
the current situation is that he still remains the manager, and a lot of that has to do with whether Joan Laporta wants to spend the money on sacking him or not, and also if he can find a replacement, which at this point in time, there isn't one. So if he decides to part ways with Ronald Koeman, according to reports, he would have to pay a severance package of about 12 million euros. That, of course, is the same figure, more or less, if he does see out the rest of the season. On top of that, there are reports that if he doesn't complete a third season, then the club would have to pay him back the 6 million euros that he put up front to pay to the Dutch Federation to break his contract so that he could go then to manage at Barcelona. So having said that, maybe he would be owed something like 18 to 20 million euros. That's a huge amount of money at Barcelona for right now. So they have to decide what they want to do, if they can get rid of him. He has a pretty tight contract that keeps him in the job, at least for now. And again, I think it will be determined on whether Joan Laporta can find a replacement for him, which at this point in time, they just don't have.
OK, let's turn our attention to the national side. Spain playing Italy tonight in the Nations League semi-finals. A huge amount of injury problems. Are they the underdogs going into this one?
I don't know if I would say they're the underdogs, because Italy as well also have a lot of injuries. And so they're going to have to make some changes as well. I think Luis Enrique has called up enough players with enough quality that they can figure out something in order to get past Italy. I mean, they were able to do it to a point in that semi-finals in the European Championship. They were actually the better team and they only lost on penalties. So they can absolutely go toe-to-toe with Italy. They're a team that like to attack and they'll be built to attack, even though, funny enough, for whatever reason, Luis Enrique decided not to bring a traditional number 9, a traditional striker to play in the squad. He only has false 9s or 10s, or maybe he'll make somebody else play in that number 9 position. But he said it's about attacking collectively going forward. It's not just about one player who's going to shoulder that responsibility. But they haven't scored goals in the last 180 minutes that they've played since the European Championship. So it is certainly a concern for them. They do need goals to come from somewhere. But it'll be really interesting to see what Luis Enrique does against this Italy side. But no, I don't think that they're going to be underdogs necessarily going into this.
Talking of Enrique, fair to say he's got a pretty fractious relationship with the media in Spain. Just explain to us, how strained has this one got?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I think he's actually having a rather good time. I think he's really enjoying being the focal points of the attention that's being given to him by the media. He likes to be the alpha male, the one to say, I'm in control here, not any of you. And quite honestly, I don't care what any of you have to say. And that's what he did say in the press conference yesterday when asked if he was reading about the criticisms that he was getting, because he received a lot for his selection of players, both in a mission and the ones he did decide to include. And his response was, I don't read the media because I know more about football than all of you, so I don't need your opinions. I know what I'm doing. I have information that you don't have. Make the decisions that I think are just. And apart from that, he's very loyal to his players. He'll stick to them even if they are being criticised. Take Eric Garcia, for example, someone who has been absolutely slated and hammered for his inclusion in the list, because he hasn't had a back to Barcelona. Same with Sergio Roberto. In the end, Luis Enrique, he's very loyal to his players, and he feels that he has made the right decision with what he has chosen to do. In some ways, you also think maybe he is intentionally trying to wind up the media just for a little bit of fun.
Indeed. Semra, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. Speak soon.